just mic'd up with Mikie Mahtook. Got the boys in. I got Lloyd. We got Mitch. We got Jackie Boyd.
He tried to jump up, but he might have knocked it in.
Good time, man. Let's go. What a start to the Monday. I mean, I'm from Lafayette. My boys will come in and say,
oh, God. So me and Joe on the ground. I got Joe in the headlock. And he's sitting there, he's punching me in the stomach, like, punching me.
Here, is everyone sitting around, who here thinks Ochinko can practice today after having 5 full beers? And he goes, Chad Jones, right? Chad Jones. 6 minutes. For 7 minutes, right? Chad's like, no, man, I don't think Ochinko can practice today. And I was like, I look back, I'm like, Jesus Christ. I saw you there. You're more fucked up than me.
On the Spirit plane had some issues, I think. She was sleep farting.
you heard her or you just thought it was her?
I sat right next to her and I smelled it.
Whoa. What was that?
Time
Good show.
Now, when you do go to spring training, are you gonna bring your chinchilla and your turtle? My dad tell you about it.
The SEC is God, they hate fat people. I mean, I get crushed for that. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man.
Hey, just the South, bro. You got a bunch of food down here. Like they should.
Players, look at Lloyd.
You know what, Lloyd?
You're looking for a recruiting coordinator, coach. I'm here.
He's like, I'll piss my pants right now.
No way.
We're wearing gray pants, long gray pants. He goes, I'll piss my pants right now. Hello. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. Today is Wednesday, June 26th. We got a big show for you today. We're going to run through these Heineken headlines super quick because we got a special guest coming on here at 6:00, coming on here now. We're going to give him about 30 seconds. We got Lloyd in studio, Mitch.
Hello.
At his spot in Charlotte. And not here, but via video call because we have technology and we can do it. So, Jay, welcome back to the show from the hotel.
What's up, boys?
There he is.
How we living?
There he is. And we got a lot to talk about. I don't know if you've been paying attention over there at SC Network, but it seems like baseball is kind of turning into football. There's no end to it. There's always drama no matter what happens. Tennessee obviously wins the national championship. They beat Texas A&M in the finals. And there's a lot of stuff that's been happening after the game. Some rumors before. We didn't believe in any of them. They obviously turned out to be true. We have Peter Burns coming on right now. He's got all the answers. All we have is speculation. All we have is just us watching it from afar as fans. What a wild sequence of events that took place on Monday and Tuesday. And that is Jim Schlossnagle is now the head coach at Texas baseball. Is Peter in?
Not yet.
He's not in.
Shoot him a text.
He took the entire staff with him. That includes our friend Dolan Kane. Happy about the opportunity that everybody gets. As far as all the rumors and what's going on and what happened and what didn't happen, we don't know. We're trying to find out just like y'all are finding out. With that news, obviously you'd assume that a lot of people are going to be in the portal. A ton of A&M baseball players are currently in the portal, including their top 7 or 8 players that were on this team that were still eligible, that had eligibility left going into next year. We will see what happens with them. It is Wednesday, so it is Ask Mikey and Mitch Day. NBA draft is tonight. If you follow that, if you fancy yourself NBA basketball fans, that is going on tonight. If you're not, you can go see who the Pelicans pick, what trades happen, all those sorts of things. But obviously the news of the day, and the news of the SEC, and the news of really the college sports world right now is Coach Jim Schlossnagle now being the head baseball coach at Texas, leaving Texas A&M a day after they lost in the College World Series. Obviously, Schlossnagle is one of the better coaches in college baseball. He has made it to Omaha with, I think, 4 different teams, if I believe that is correct. And he obviously took A&M to Omaha twice while he was there. Once the national championship game, which was this year, and has put together team after team that has been very competitive throughout his coaching tenure. So he is at Texas. Obviously, a big move by the Texas Longhorns. Just going there, and I mean, obviously the rivalry, everybody knows about that. That is alive and well. They went out there and they got the coach they wanted from their rival, and I think it's going to make for an interesting season. And honestly, I think it's going to roll over a little bit into place Texas A&M this year. Obviously, it's not going to, it's not football, but it's still a rivalry and still something that's going to be fresh in their mind. So we'll see. Jay, what you got on all that stuff? Obviously, we're going to ask PB some of it. We're going to talk about football, SEC football, LSU football, all those answers. But what you got on that?
Man, wow. Shocking, right? Like, we got a lot going on, man. And I don't think we've ever seen a move quite like this in college sports, honestly. Like, you look across the landscape of college sports, it's hard to find something that's really just like this. Like, because it hits close to home for us, you can kind of point at like the Nick Saban from LSU to 13 months or whatever it was back to Alabama. But this is literally like rival in the national championship final game of the year with one rival. And then the very next day, he's the head coach of the other rival, who's also coming into the same league. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this, and I couldn't imagine the storm that'd be around this thing if this was college football and or even college basketball right now, which lets me know, because we've gotten this conversation a little bit, like college baseball seems picking up a little bit. So it's been crazy, and who knows what precedence this sets towards the league going forward and how things go. We don't know, but yeah, man, it's just wild, and it's a hot summer.
That's what I want to ask Peter Burns about, because you see this happen a lot. I say a lot. I'm not necessarily saying, like the Saban going to Miami and then coming back to a rival. Not that. I'm talking about big-time coaches, successful at other schools, leaving, going to be the coaches at other successful schools that are deemed bigger, better tradition, whatever. You see that a lot more frequently in football, whether it's a bigger payday, all this kind of stuff. You don't ever see that in baseball. Usually you see a team that's struggling, and a coach that brought up a struggling team and then jump starts and goes to a bigger team and then ends up, once he's at one of the top teams, usually good. But this time it has kind of reversed, right? So Schlossnagle leaves Texas A&M, goes to Texas. The money that is being rumored to have gotten is bigger than any contract that we've seen in college baseball. So I'm interested to see what Peter Burns' opinion is of what does this do to the landscape of college baseball as far as coaching goes, because now the market is set. Somebody's going to go out there, Vitale or whoever, is going to go back and say, no, I've been the best coach in college football and baseball for the last 4 or 5 years. I should be the highest paid coach. And now you're going to start seeing salaries start to increase. And, it's going to be because Schloss kind of reset the market. So that's the kind of interesting topic to touch on, because it's college baseball, to your point, Jay, it's in the best spot I think it's ever been.
Yeah, it's in the best spot it's been. We've seen people jump back and forth, or maybe inside the conference, or maybe from big school to big school. We've never really legit seen it from like a legit rival school to the other legit rival school. Like, I can't call the last time we've seen it happen at that level, and then to magnify where that one school was and where the other school, I guess I don't think we've ever seen it like this. And I do think that lets you know that there is big business, and college baseball is growing as it should be, because it's a better game and it's only continually getting better. And the SEC is obviously the hot melting pot. It has been for a while, and it ain't going anywhere anytime soon for college baseball.
Yeah, and I think it shows. You talk about like these types of moves. Like, once these types of moves are happening and guys are leaving for higher salaries and the money that's being thrown around, you can feel that that sport has arrived, right? You see that a lot in football. You see that a lot in basketball. You don't really see it in those other sports in college because they're just not the money makers. But in SEC baseball, in the college baseball between the SEC and the ACC in this area, you're starting to see that a lot more. And obviously, Schlossnagle has kind of been the cherry on top there as the biggest name and the biggest move to have been made. So it's I think it's all good. I think it is going to benefit college baseball in a way. I know a lot of people are up in arms about how it happened and what was said and all those types of things. Listen, you can have the opinion on that. I understand. Like everybody can look at it one way. At the end of the day, he's a grown man. He made the decision that he thought was the best for him and his family and his staff and his career. And you can't fault a guy for doing that. And, I expect him to play well.
I think you could fault the way he handled it.
Yeah, listen, but how do you handle it in that situation, right? Like that's a situation where it's like you just lost a national championship game. Your guys that you're coached are devastated, and you're devastated, and you're trying to talk about the game. And obviously there's the elephant in the room, and you know the question is going to be asked. It's just the timing of it, and he just reacted in a very emotional way. And how are you supposed to react to that? Like how?
The way that he did.
I think it's pretty obvious. You're supposed to not be
right.
as emotional.
Of course.
I'm not saying that that's easy. I'm not saying it's obviously very much easier said than done. But, you would think or hope in that situation you just kind of fend it off, let it go. I understand. But it just kind of puts you in a tough situation. And I think when he looks back on it, kind of coming back, that's something he'll kind of look at himself and be like, I probably should have handled that one a little bit differently, if you will. I don't even know, not better, just differently.
Yeah, well, like I said, we're speculating, and we don't have a lot of the insider information. We're just the rookies over here trying to figure this thing out. But Peter Burns is not. He's a salty vet. He's been a friend of the show. He's been on the show a few times. He's got, hopefully, better takes or better insight than we do. He joins us on the show right now. Peter, I appreciate you coming on, dude.
Man, it is wild. In fact, it was funny is I got the world's worst cell phone coverage here, so I appreciate you guys. Hopefully I'm not too bad here. I'm with a bunch of LSU people that are here in Charlotte right now, and that's all they're doing is complaining about NIL and transfer portal and all this A&M stuff, guys. Like, so it never ends, to say the least.
Yeah, it never goes away. I was going to ask, are you enjoying a little bit of this downtime? But there's no downtime in the SEC. Obviously, football season's right around the corner. Baseball just ended, and it seems like it's starting to lean into it's kind of like meshing with football, right? Football, you see some of this stuff happen after the season, and so they stay in the storylines. Now SEC baseball, you're starting to see this. What's your initial reaction to see Schlossnagle leave, going to Texas, and did you believe the smoke that was around it leading up to the World Series?
Yeah, I knew that there was going to be some issues. I had heard from other people going in that, hey, A&M, they had to be on the lookout for a new coach, right? That's kind of the feeling that was around there, and we thought, we'll see. Then you start putting all the pieces of the puzzle together about the relationship with Del Conte and Jim Schlossnagle, and you realize you're like, all right, that makes sense. I think the only thing, guys, that didn't make sense to me was how Schlossnagle handled the press conference.
Yeah.
He knew the question was going to come. So all he had to do, frankly, was say, hey, I respect the question. I'm hurting for my guys. I'm happy to talk about that more, but I don't plan on leaving A&M. And he could have left it at that. But for him to cop such an attitude, it reminded me of when Roy Williams left Kansas and said, I don't give a damn about North Carolina. Well, I remember him in that soundbite. And for a while in college baseball, as good of a coach as Schloss is, we're going to remember him for that presser and that bad soundbite for the remaining part of his career.
No doubt. Peter, I got to ask, do you think – so the way the whole College World Series played out, it was a great College World Series, and then you basically cap it off with a move and something to the magnitude of what we just saw. Do you think this will draw more mainstream eyes to college baseball and help the sport grow and push it forward?
Dude, people love drama.
Yeah.
I mean, listen. I mean, this is like the Real Housewives of the SEC, right? And I mean, it is the Kardashians of college baseball. That is what it's become. So, man, people want to be entertained, and I think that was the biggest thing. And you and I were talking about it in studio, right? Is the fact of like all of a sudden the Barstool Sports accounts start picking it up, and other companies start picking it up, and everybody else wants to get involved in the storyline. So I don't think it's necessarily bad, and it only adds another element of the Texas A&M rivalry, which, I mean, for LSU fans that don't know, this is as heated as LSU and Alabama football, maybe times 2.
Yeah.
This is as heated as Auburn and Alabama. It's as heated as the Egg Bowl. Like, I lived in Texas for 20 plus years. Like, there is a hatred towards both of these fan bases. And all this does is ignite it, and holy hell, I'm here for every single part of it. Because can you imagine? Like, we need to do a show on location for A&M, like Schloss's return to Bluebell Park. Like, I need to be in that stadium. Hell, I might take it off.
No doubt.
I might take off that week and go in and just watch the absolute shit show.
That is.
I
think we should make that happen. No doubt. Staying on that similar topic, do you think this is better for baseball? SEC baseball has continued to get more popular. I mentioned before you jumped on, that this happens a lot in football, where a coach will leave, go somewhere else to a bigger name school, and the money that gets thrown around is pretty ridiculous. College baseball is not really known for that. Tim Corbin's the highest paid coach in college baseball at $2.5 million. The rumored price tag to get Schloss away from Texas A&M is significantly higher than that. I don't know the exact numbers, but they're throwing these numbers around. What does that do to change the landscape of college baseball, or at least SEC baseball as a whole? Does that do anything?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because I mean, as a fan, I don't really give a shit about what the coaches make, right?
Right.
Like, I want to watch good baseball. Now, I think the fans are going to look at this and go, I think that's why some like normal college fans like the college game, because they're like, well, I don't like the NBA if this guy's making $12 million a year guaranteed,
right,
no matter how he plays. So once that money gets to a point where it's out of control, then all of a sudden, people might kind of tune out to it. But I think the more interesting part of it right now is with the House settlement, what happens going forward when the Trev Alberts and the Chris Del Contes and the Scott Woodwards say, man, we all of a sudden got $25 more million of revenue sharing we got to do that we didn't plan for. Are they still going to be hiring these coaches for $2.5 million? I don't know. I think they're all in a wait and see part of that program right now. But I mean, frankly, I'm just waiting to see how it all plays out. And I don't think the coaches know. That's the whole deal. Like, for 100 years, we pretty much knew what the rules were as far as college athletics. And now all of that is out of the realm. And I'm not sure if it's necessarily a bad thing. Like, we're going to see great teams. We're going to see, new powerhouses. Yeah. I mean, Tennessee would have never been this way had maybe NIL been involved. So, nobody has a stronger brand right now, probably in the country, on a college athletic standpoint than LSU. So, I think LSU has a way, if they're properly aligned, to take advantage of this new world.
No doubt.
Peter, me and you kind of talked about this a little bit in studio. We brought it up. We kind of talked about it. I think with the last 4 champions being 4 different SEC schools, I think it's becoming more of a prevalent conversation outside of just SEC schools. But the truth of the matter is, and I think this is something that would have come up had this been such a much more mainstream thing, is since 2008, if you want to win the College World Series, you've had to go through another SEC team, whether it be a non-SEC team or a team from the SEC. How does that speak to where the game is right now, the strength of the game, and what do you see it going forward as it pertains to not only SEC, but the rest of the world as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be 2 worlds. I mean, we talk about right now in college football, a lot of it is going to be the SEC versus the Big Ten, right? That's what it feels like. Going forward, it's pretty much going to be SEC versus the ACC when it comes to it. Now that Texas and Oklahoma are leaving, there'll be some good teams, but listen, how much good quality Pac-12 players or California players have come over and want to play, and they want to go down to the Alec Box, so they want to go play at Swayze, they want to go play up in Knoxville. Like, why the hell would you not? I mean, look at the fan bases. I mean, what other places? I mean, I had what was the kid that was the really good Chase Dolander? Yeah, remember him, the pitcher a couple years ago in Tennessee. Great pitcher. I had him on my show this morning, and I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" And he's like, "Man, I'm in like Spokane, Washington, and we're playing in front of like 700 people."
Yeah.
He goes, "This is easy compared to when I was a Friday night starter and I had to go into Baton Rouge and the crowd's rocking for 11,000." So, I mean, it'll just be the SEC versus the ACC in baseball, and a lot of that, honestly, guys, comes down to the fact of, hey, the weather is good. The fan bases are great. We air every single one of these games, and now the NIL money is out of control. Like, why would you not come out there? Because the best baseball in the country. Go look at the draft. Same thing as the NFL.
Yeah.
Major League Baseball draft is going to be peppered with SEC players. So it's just the future of the sport, and we're at the epicenter of it.
To end the baseball conversation on a high note, right? Obviously, we just talked about the SEC. Tennessee won it. Can't talk about SEC baseball unless you talk about the national championship or national champion. That's Tennessee. It felt like it was a long time coming from Tony V. You know, they've been in it. They've had some disappointing seasons. Seasons come to an end in a disappointing way. I think their team a couple years ago was better than this team talent-wise, and they didn't make it to Omaha.
Agreed.
He finally gets over the hump, wins the national championship, their first one ever. How cool is that to see? And obviously jumping in the stands, some people like his way of coaching, some people don't, but he is who he is. He's never wavered from that. What's your take on that, on Tennessee?
I mean, I've seen Tony grow as a coach, right? And I said this a couple of days ago. It reminds me a little bit of watching Kirby Smart grow, right? When Kirby got handed the keys to the Georgia Bulldogs, they were a good team. And then, you know, he got them ripping right off the jump, but he didn't really understand how to be a coach. And the game got too big for him in some big moments. Kirby learned from that, and now he's one of the best in the business. I think that was the thing with Tony Vitello, is that although he built that from scratch to where, hey, he got in over his skis in that really good 2022 team. He had too much cockiness, and he's the first person to admit it. That's what I always like about Tony Vitello. He'll talk his trash. He'll have this swagger, but he's always very respectful. He always talks great about the other opposing teams and players and stuff like that. And I can't imagine. I mean, I'll throw this a topic out for you guys here. I'll produce your show for you guys.
Appreciate it. Lloyd's not doing a good job of that, so I appreciate that.
Question.
but going forward, what's the best players coach in the SEC right now? Like, take all the sports out right now, and you said, hey, forget the loyalty to the school or whatever. Like, that's my dude. Like, I want to play for that guy. And I don't know how many people wouldn't have Tony Vitello
top 3,
if not number 1, at least top 3
yeah,
on that list. I mean, that's, you know, and like at LSU, like, you want to play with Jay because Jay's no nonsense, it's ball, right? McMahon's kind of that way as well, too. He's got a good relationship. Mulkey is just, she's on a whole different level, right? But I don't know how, like, BK, I don't know how many people like, dude, BK is the coolest cat ever.
Right.
No, they appreciate it because he's a CEO, but he's not a player's coach. So, you know, I think for Tony, I think he's going to tap into a 17, 18-year-old kid and resonate, as opposed to maybe me, a 45-year-old dad of 2 that is more kind of an old school guy. But I still tell you this, even though I'm old school as hell, I'd play for Tony Vitello in a damn heartbeat. And that's why it's resonating with these young guys. It's a swagger, but he backs up the talk with the walk.
And speaking of that, kind of on that same note, with all of the players, when I think A&M had 9 players hit the transfer portal, do you think that this becomes a immediate, they're going straight to Texas and following Schlossnagle there, or is this a kind of free-for-all in the Texas A&M? Because there's no doubt that's a loaded class of all the players that are going.
I would be honest with you. If I'm a player at A&M or any school that has a coaching change with unlimited transfers, my name is in the transfer portal every single dang year.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if I'm not, I'm leaving money on the table or leaving opportunities on the table. Like, you know, you're not, you know, it used to be you'd be married, but that's like, all right, I'm only going to date one girl. Like, unless that is your school and that's your coach, why would you not see what the market is?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I can't do that at ESPN because I've got a contract and I said, hey, we're good for X amount of years. But if there's no contract, everybody would just hop in after every year and be like, all right, where's the love?
Right.
And either the school's going to kick up more money, or another school will, or give me your opportunity. Or even if another school doesn't mean I have to leave. I can at least entertain those offers. Like, every good athlete is going to enter their name in the transfer portal, and I don't know if I can blame them anymore.
Right, and then nobody benefited more from
that.
that.
Every good athlete is every good independent contractor these days, and it's, hey, why wouldn't I?
Yeah, I mean, like, hey, I'm a great electrician in Baton Rouge Country Club. You know, I've been working with them, but all of a sudden, U Club is about to say, man, I will up the price.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still doing the same job, like, you know,
No
and
doubt.
maybe I'm from Port Lavaca, Texas, and I don't care what country club I go work for. It ain't no different. It's just now there's an application in which those college athletes can get paid, and I pay my rent, I pay my mortgage, I pay my bills based on their skills and covering them. So who am I to say that they can't make that money?
Now let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to get into this NIL talk, but we're here and this is part of it, right? I think this is the conversation. How do you fix that? You know, when you sign a scholarship, I drop the ball every single time. I drop that damn baseball.
Every day, bro.
Thank God that's why I'm not playing anymore. That's why I'm not playing anymore. So when you sign the scholarship offer, is it a contract, a 2-year contract? Hey, listen, you can play here for 2 years and you know, can't put your name in the portal.
Right.
Is that what we're gonna start seeing?
Well, you'll have to. The only way you'll get that legally probably is you'll have to have some type of players association.
Yeah.
To where it's like, hey, the Collegiate Players Association agrees, and this is what the revenue share is going to be. These are the rules that we play by. This is what healthcare is. The same difference.
Insert Nick Saban.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be the NFLPA or Major League Baseball PA. Like, that's eventually coming. Just nobody wants to go down that road right now until they realize what is Congress going to do and try to figure out is anybody going to put an end to this. So I don't know, man. I just know that the ratings are still high. People are watching it. People are more fired up than any. There's crazier storylines. So while I keep saying the game is college athletics is dead, I could argue the opposite, saying it's never been more alive. It just looks a whole hell of a lot different than we knew for the last, for our life.
Yeah, I'd agree. My last little point about that is I'd agree with that. I think it's going to take something very unfortunate to happen for people to see need to fix, because like you said, it's never been more watched. It's never making more money. So why on earth are people going to be rushing to make a fix of it? I just don't think anything's going to happen on it. But if we flip this thing, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, the only thing is all of a sudden because of revenue sharing and how that works, if LSU can't field a women's golf team, or, tennis goes out and you lose a lot of those opportunities of non-revenue sports, that's where all of a sudden I think it gets real. But dude, right now, every single time I turn around, somebody's getting a contract extension. Somebody's putting $75 million into new stadium lights. Like, I mean, I'm being told that everybody's broke as hell because of all this stuff, and I ain't seen any broken doorknobs on any of these stadiums either. So
they're all piggybanking it for the next big project. That's what it is. That's all that's going on right now. If we want to talk about it, like, we're talking about product and we're talking about hype and we're talking about what's next. You got Texas and you got Oklahoma coming in. Football season around the corner right now. Will the product fit the hype when it comes to bringing these two new schools into the league, and what will the SEC look like?
Yeah, and in fact, that's why I got to go after this question, because I'm headed. I got to go pack for Texas because I'm headed over to Austin to do a big show for the welcoming to Texas to the SEC. I'll say hi to Sloss for everybody while I'm over there.
Please do.
Tell Nolan we said hey too.
He'll be on our show on Sunday. That's going to be an interesting conversation. So make sure you tune into that on Sunday night on SEC Network. I think the hype is definitely for real, especially on the Texas side. They're a legitimate college football title contender. They got Quinn Ewers, who could win the Heisman. Hell, Arch, the way I saw him in spring, could do some crazy things if Quinn's not 100% healthy. So they're good. For Brent Venables in Oklahoma, they're excited as well too. But it reminds me a little bit of like when Missouri came into the conference. It's like, all right, we know about A&M, but we don't know that much about Missouri. There's a lot of people, that just don't know about the heritage of Oklahoma. And really, when you look at it, as big of a brand as Texas is, the actual amount of sports that Oklahoma has been dominant in outside of basketball, it's as good, if not better, than Texas. Just not on the football side this upcoming season. So I can't wait, man. It's going to be wild. 16 teams, and I'm here for every part of it.
So we can't wait for it. It's obviously 2 months away. You are right in the middle of it. You're about to start doing all your coverage. We appreciate you, as always, coming on the show. Hopefully we get to see you around Baton Rouge, coming to an LSU game at some point or covering a game. Enjoy your travels. We'll have you on again soon, man. I appreciate you.
Later, boys. I'll try to do it with a better connection next
No,
time.
you look great. You look great.
Degrees, so
Yeah.
No problem's
we'll
here.
figure that. Hey, and Mikey.
Yeah.
Don't drop the damn ball.
Every
Don't drop the
time,
damn
dude.
ball.
I drop it every
Dude,
time.
it's every show. It's every show. It doesn't stop. We're literally going to put a counter up there so you can see it.
Later, boys.
Later. Connection was great. See what happens when you get those ESPN phones? It's unbelievable.
Well, no, it's what he's seeing on the Zoom probably looks a little bit different than what we were seeing. Like,
Yeah,
it's a
no
little bit
doubt.
scattered on that end, but
No
the
doubt.
connection's
No doubt.
fine on
Connection,
our
connection
end.
was good. I mean, I could have talked to – we almost got off the rails there. NIL Transfer Portal always takes over the conversation, right? Especially when you got somebody who sees it from a whole different perspective than just at that team's school, right? And so I wanted to get into that. I think you did a good job not. We tried hard to get into the football conversation. Like I said, NIL kind of dominates these conversations. But to piggyback off that last little bit that he said, it's going to be a really fun football season. Obviously, it always is. But, like, SEC teams are going to get Texas to come to their school. LSU gets Oklahoma to come here. And I don't know if Oklahoma's ever played at LSU. And if they have, I guarantee it was probably in the
2003 national championship.
No, at LSU.
Oh.
Not
Got him.
before.
New
At
Orleans.
LSU. Yeah, like in Tiger Stadium. I don't know if that's ever happened, but like it's just a cool. You have some really cool schedules, really cool teams coming in, and then different rivalries that we're not used to seeing. So
Well, I think like to dovetail a little bit off of like what the NIL thing has happened. That's where you get into the conversation of why college baseball has never been better, because these like high-profile players are looking for teams that are good to be able to contend for a national championship, and that's why we're seeing all of the talent like kind of come to a head where it's like you got 1 through 9 that are talented, and it makes for a better product. But the other parts of it are your school is going to get pilfered if you're not one of the top 10 brands.
And the draft being the way it is, right? Like, Jared's talked about this a lot. The draft's now only 20 rounds. So, like, a lot of those guys that were getting drafted later and getting paid 5th-round money, 8th-round money, that doesn't happen anymore. So those guys now come to school, and now they're seeing guys like Wyatt Langford and Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz and all these guys that are getting drafted highly out of college at a high-level school like LSU or Vanderbilt or whoever, Florida, and they're getting to the big leagues in a year or two. The same time, they'd be there earlier probably than they would have been had they gone to play out of high school.
He literally just told you, like, Chase Dolander, with the talent that he is, like, I would have to go back and look at what he was as a prospect coming out of high school, but he just told you Chase Dolander, who was at Tennessee a year ago,
I
right?
think it was 2 years ago.
Is in Spokane, Washington right now, playing in front of like 800 people right now.
Right.
And so my point to it is like, unless you're giving that guy top tier money out of high school and not saying, hey, come here as the 3rd rounder, like, you're going to sit here and try to tell me that everything that he got out of being in Tennessee wasn't worth whatever he could have gotten in pro ball at this point, and they're still going to push him along once he gets to pro ball?
Right.
Hell yeah, he's coming to school at this time. And so that's only going to just up the college baseball brand, up the competition of it, and it's going to make it a better game and probably a more mainstream game, in my opinion.
100% agree.
And sprinkle on top of that, you can get paid. Like now, like professional teams have to compete with the fact that there is NIL for athletes coming out of high school that can come to college and be like, oh, wait, I can fly private, I can go to all these things and be taken care of like a professional athlete and not have to hop on a bus and eat a ham sandwich and find my way to pro ball that way. Like, it's totally different. That's who they're competing against.
And in baseball, it's probably real, too, because you're probably going to be getting paid very, very, let's say very comparable to what you'd be getting paid outside of being one of the top high draft picks, right? Like, whatever some of these top flight profile transfer portal guys are getting, like, they're going to give you something that's very enticing to say, bro, you're going to be making more money now and or very comparable money right now by coming here and bettering your game than going to A-ball to better your game right now.
It's just a different development league, basically. You're going to SC to play, really have a lot of fun, play against really good competition, and develop yourself so that you're going to be more prepared for the minor league baseball. It's going to be It's created a culture in college baseball in the SEC that is really cool, right? And some of these smaller schools are going to get really good players and really good teams like they have been. But some of these players, there's not enough spots on all these SEC teams to get all these really talented guys. Guys get drafted from all around the country that are really good, end up making it to the big leagues. That don't just come to the SEC. That's what makes these other mid-majors fun. Now, they may end up in the SEC as a transfer, but right out of high school, they're going to be able to go and develop them and make some of these smaller teams good. So it's been it's going to be a fun ride watching college baseball just continue to do this. What?
Yeah, it's going to get bigger and bigger every year. I really do think so.
Lance James in the chat goes, that moment in Detroit scarred Mikie. Scarred my goat Mikie for dropping the baseball. He's like, now it's just part of your life.
What?
The fumble of the ball.
Yeah.
And, why did he bring that up when he talked about that fumble?
Yeah.
Yeah, part of it.
Hey, we gotta get a clicker up there, dude. We gotta get a counter up there. This it's getting out of hand at this point.
I'll put some stickum on my hands. Just have it like the guy from
the replacement.
I feel like that would go bad, but that would go bad too because there's something that's gonna get stuck to your hand, like the bottle.
That would make it fun.
Something.
This, whatever.
Coach, you look like a jerked off elephant.
That's what they said. Do y'all want to get to the questions? Do we have some questions in the chat?
We have a few. I'm going to put another reminder in the chat. There's a couple rolling in, but I'm going to get.
We can hold off. You want to hold off on that?
Yeah, let's hold off for a little bit until we get some more in here.
And by the way, too, we're just throwing this out there, but just to think the kind of like absolute shitstorm it kind of brings, like you got Jace LaViolette, Gavin Grahovac, Kaeden Kent, Hayden Schott, Caden Sorrell, bro. Ali Camarillo, like, if I'm just naming them 6 dudes right there, if I said, hey, you could probably go around the SEC and I would say 10-plus teams, all 6 of them dudes could just be put right into the lineup on that very team.
Yeah.
So we're not even going to talk about the entire country. If I can just go around the SEC and say that brings it to where you're like, oh, man, there's a lot going on here, and this could get wild. You just never know. Like, this could get wild.
Yeah, and look, some of those guys may end up back at A&M. Some of those guys may end up at Texas. Some of those guys may go somewhere else. We don't know. I know a lot of the speculation is, just because they are in the portal means they're going to fall in the Texas. That's not always the case. Maybe they really wanted to be at A&M, but they didn't want to be at A&M without having a coach. And so maybe they're upset and they go somewhere else. Who knows? But it's going to be interesting to see where they all land. Does LSU get any? Right? That's the question.
And that's the
Everybody keeps thinking Jace LaViollette's coming here because he committed to LSU as a 14-year-old. That doesn't mean he's coming to LSU. He committed to Nolan Cain when Nolan Cain was at LSU. Nolan Cain was a recruiting guy, got him to commit. That's who he committed. When Nolan left to go to A&M, he went to A&M. So to think that he's going to come back to LSU, like that's not a guarantee. That's not, I think that's honestly probably not likely to happen, I would imagine. Do you agree?
It's pretty likely we can just put them into the 2-hole in a Longhorn uniform next year.
That's what I would imagine because he didn't. I mean, he went to LSU, he committed to LSU because of the guys who recruited him and the guys who built a relationship with.
I'm 100% on board with you.
Yeah, I know.
Here's the thing. I would have never thought, like, bro, there's a world right now where this is where the NIL stuff is going, where imagine your, like, baseball career where at your house right now you could legit have 3 or 4 big league uniforms up, like, all over the mantle in your like, man cave. College baseball and college sports have now gotten to that where you can be a big-time player who has 3 or 4 marquee flagship college schools over your mantle in your man cave right now.
Grahovac is going to put the SEC Player of the Freshman of the Year award on his mantle with probably a framed A&M jersey, and next year he could have All-American, first-team All-American at whatever other school he's at.
Texas.
Right next to him, right? With a Longhorn jersey. You have a Longhorn A&M jersey next to yourself on the mantle.
And you know how recruiting is right now, too. Like, it's not out of the realms that they can recruit you, stitch your name on the back of a jersey and throw it to you just to try to get you in. So maybe you got that one at home. You got the first 2 years at A&M one over the mantle, and then now you got my All-American year at Texas over the mantle, too.
They're going to start doing some jersey swaps and everything. It's going to be nuts.
And that's what a lot of
crazy.
That's what a lot of the questions in the chat are whenever it comes to like this, just because it's topical right now and what we're talking about. But if they're asking, ask Mikey and Mitch, I don't know if y'all will answer this one, but it is the topic du jour of how do you feel about Nolan Cain going to Texas A&M, because there's a lot of, I guess people wanted to see him come to LSU, but do you see him going from Texas A&M to Texas?
But people want him to come back to LSU?
Right, and to say, I feel like that was never really on the...
No, I don't think that was an option. There's no spot for him at LSU.
I say, when and where was that an option? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
There's no
I guess
spot.
before the Simpson hire, like whenever you lost...
yeah, but like how... I mean, no. No, I mean, that's
what
not...
is he coming back as?
Yeah.
Wait. You do realize Nolan is the associate head coach / recruiting coordinator for, obviously, A&M and now for Texas. Like, Nolan is he's about probably, if I had to guess, this close to being a head coach at a very big school.
Right.
If I had to guess.
Right.
So us thinking that he was just going to come running back to LSU to take probably less money, less of a title, less of an opportunity to move himself forward, that was never going to happen.
No.
I mean, let's be honest.
No. And look, he is, why would he go to Texas? Well, the guy hired him after Minera retired. He hired him from LSU. And he's done a really good job there, and he's built a trust and rapport with the guy. So, yeah, of course he's going to go. If there's an opportunity now, if there's a head coach opportunity that he wants to take, I'm sure that would be very welcomed. But he is going to Texas as the same role, just at Texas, which makes sense. A guy who just got the job, puts the staff together, he wants people he's familiar with. So that makes a lot of sense.
I think that would be probably the next question.
Are we jumping into? Oh, I thought you were about to read no more questions.
No,
so we are jumping in to ask Mikey.
No, we can. There's 5 or 6 questions in here, but I was going to ask, where does A&M go next? I thought Nolan Cain had a legitimate shot to be the head coach there. And
I don't know. I don't know if they haven't made a decision yet, right? So, and maybe they are trying to interview. I would doubt. I don't know, in really anything. But, yeah, if that's an option, if that's a viable option they offer to him, I wouldn't see why Schloss would say don't take it.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, too, because I did see some reports basically saying something about, A&M wanted they want a marquee, they want a big hire. And let's just say if the players were in the sense of they're following Nolan around, maybe you got a chance of keeping those guys, but also how many of those new recruits are you trying to bring in that might say we're going to split and we just going to go to Texas? It just puts Texas A&M in a really tough spot. And I think what they were on when they hired Schlossnagle is we want a big name that has some meat to the bone already, right? And Nolan doesn't have that on him yet, which is fine. It is what it is. But A&M's in a tough spot because they're going to have to hire. And they're going to have to hire or they're going to try to hire big, it seems like.
And quick.
How does this thing go? I don't know if Nolan was offered it. No, we don't really know the answers to that.
Yeah, and they got to hire someone pretty quick, right? With the NIL and the portal stuff, you're not going to have a team to hire if you don't hire someone pretty quickly. And so you'd imagine that's the case. What do you got next?
Okay, let's hop into it.
I thought that's what you said.
Absolutely. From
Ask Mikey and Mitch.
Ask Mikey and Mitch from Justin Legrand. Delusional A&M fans think JJ is leaving. JJ being obviously Jett Johnston. Do you think that this results in a pay bump for Jay, or any reason that he would leave? I think LSU is probably one of the more premier brands, certainly more than A&M.
It is the premier college baseball brand.
Well, I say it would sound like a homer.
No, but it is.
Yeah.
It is literally the premier college baseball brand, so I don't see him leaving to go to A&M.
And if it's not him, who do you think they hired? Some people in the chat are saying Sullivan from Florida, but obviously...
I don't think Sully leaves, but maybe. They're going to give him more money. There's more resources at A&M. They have a stadium. Florida Stadium stinks.
A&M's about to do an $80 million renovation on their stadium.
Exactly. Yeah, I guess so. Sullivan could go.
Can I be honest with you? I think.
Go ahead, Jay.
I think there's a possibility. I think there's a possibility you go outside of the conference, man.
I agree.
You go take the guy from Clemson. Maybe you try to get him out of there. Who knows? I could just see there's other big names that you can try to go and get that's been doing this thing for a while. I think you try to go get one of those guys. That's what I would think. I just can't see O'Sullivan moving. I can't see moving for this situation.
Would you consider Cliff Godwin?
Cliff Godwin. I don't even know why I just missed that one. Cliff Godwin as well. That's another name. I just see it happening that way.
Well, look, you saw what happened. Florida State, right? Florida State hired Notre Dame's coach out of conference, out of a big power conference, team that's not historically known to be really, really elite in baseball.
Yeah.
He goes down to Florida State, and he's made a huge difference for them, right? They're in Omaha. They looked like a really good team. They're going to be a team for years to come. And so there's a lot of guys out there. Baseball, there's a lot of baseball coaches. There's a lot of diamonds in the rough, right? Like Jay was always good, but nobody really thought about hiring Jay at the early part of the LSU coaching search. So I'm with Jay. I think you're going to look out of the conference to go bring somebody in.
And another Edo in the chat says, why would you not go look at the Kentucky coach?
And you could look at the Kentucky coach.
I think that's a good name too. No, I thought about that name. That was the only other name that I was like, when it came to names inside the conference, like O'Sullivan didn't make much sense to me. Wes Johnson doesn't really make much sense to me, being what he did in 1 year there, even though there's probably more resources at A&M. Kentucky's coach is one where you're like, could he do it? That one could make a lot of sense if they chose to go that route.
Yeah, no, yeah, I mean, Mingione would probably be the only guy in the SEC I could see leaving to go there. But he also seems like he's very I'm about this guy, about this team. I'm going to be here. I don't know. Next.
Hold on, I was trying to pull up the way to siphon through these, but it didn't do well with the internet. Obviously the biggest elephant in the room would be, do you think that Jay can pull any of these transfers from Texas A&M? This is coming from John Dude.
Jay, you want to start this one off?
What was the question again?
Do you think that LSU has any chances to pull any of these guys from the portal, or is it like we were talking a little bit before the show that it felt like it was a lot? I mean, what do they have, 9 guys in the portal? What feels like they're kind of maybe tied to going to Texas, but do you think LSU has a legit shot of pulling any of these players to LSU?
Yeah, any of the players, yes, outside of Jace LaViolette, Gavin Grahovac, Kaeden Kent, Hayden Schott, Caden Sorrell, and Ali Camarillo. My reasoning for that is, all right, just think about it. If I went to a school because of anything outside of just the school, and if I'm being just frank and honest here, I don't know too many people that don't have parents or their whole family at Texas A&M that says, I'm going to A&M just because of A&M. So if you don't go to school, if you're not going to the school just because of A&M, the guy that recruited you left, the head coach left, and they went to a rival school who is very arguably a more resourceful, a bigger brand and all of that stuff. So if the guys that I just named have had the success that they've had, if you're not going to stay at the school that you have the relevancy with, and you're not going to go to the coach that you have the relevancy with, what exactly are you expecting to get by going somewhere else brand new that you have zero relevancy with? So I think all of those guys, I just do. If they don't choose to stay there, but they're obviously in the portal, I think they're all going to Texas. The other ones, maybe, because they didn't play as much. They haven't been able to put anything on paper. Maybe they see greener pastures elsewhere. But those guys, I think there's no shot in hell if they don't stay at A&M that they're not going to Texas.
Right. And Texas A&M got news, I guess, so far, that big lefty Sadeo, or whatever, however it's pronounced his last name, said he's going back to school. He's not putting his name in the portal. That's a big
where would he go? That's what I'm saying. Like, if somebody like that, where would he go? Like, where on earth would you go besides the people you had success with?
Yeah.
Who's given you an opportunity, who obviously believe in you, and they left.
Yeah.
And this one up from ATX, and I hit it on a little bit, but ask Mikey and Mitch, what's the likelihood JJ gets a new LSU contract, and what's the market for him in your opinion?
What's the market? Oh, go ahead, Jay.
Likelihood. It may be likely. It might be tricky. That's probably more of like an agent conversation. But what I do think it did is it ratchets up the job that is expected of him even more so than what it is, which is crazy to think. But there's more competition coming into the league. A&M's going to find a hire somebody, and they're still going to be, you would imagine, somewhat competitive. Yeah, like I think if he doesn't get a new contract, it just ratchets up the competition or the expectations for what he's doing.
Yeah.
Looking either way.
Now, I don't think he gets a new contract. Didn't he just re-up it after the World Series last year?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I believe so.
I think that he won't get one immediately, but I think that when he does get one, now the bar is raised because you have a guy who took over, who made a change and took over a team in Texas and got paid all this money without a World Series ring. Okay, like as a head coach, and Jett Johnston has that. So I'd imagine, I don't think it's happened now, but I do think that when he is up for renegotiation, I think that his contract's going to be higher. It's going to be, that one's going to be used off of it. Also, what's the market for him? Anybody would hire him. Like the market is, if there's an opportunity, if there's a better opportunity, which I don't believe that there is, without being as biased, trying not to be biased, but I really truly don't.
Well, and you saw him tweet today. It was, I guess, the 1-year anniversary of LSU winning the national championship, and everything he put out there is like, can't wait to get another one at LSU. Like, I could see why he would get a raise or a pay bump, because if A&M did come knocking and offered.
Now, if they do that,
then it's like, all right, we're going to be competitive. You're not going to let your guy just walk away.
I guess A&M's not afraid. They're not afraid to go after him, but I don't think they go after him.
And that leads to the next question because of what just happened. A&M Thibodeau asked Mikey and Mitch, how does A&M get their coach stolen when they have the same money as Texas and access to all the same players and benefits of being in the same league?
Okay, let me ask you a question. Let me ask a question. This is for everybody in the chat. This is for you, Lloyd. This is for you, Jared.
Oh, I have an answer.
If you're an elite high school athlete, baseball player coming out of high school, and I came up to you, what do you think's the easier place to recruit to? Texas A&M. Take the money out of it.
Well,
Texas A&M.
You can't take the money out of it. That's the thing.
The money's even then. They have the same amount of money. What's the easier place to recruit to? Texas A&M or University of Texas? You got all the weird stuff that happens at Texas A&M. You got this like, hey, you don't really look like a super fun school, kind of a weird school. Texas, you go there and you say, man, you got the lakes. Everybody feels like they're having a great time. It's got a lot more history and tradition on the baseball side than A&M. Plus, you're getting the same amount of money. Plus, you're in this opportunity to play in Austin, Texas. That's the bigger sell. I think it's easier to recruit there, and you have a better opportunity to have sustained success at Texas than you do at Texas A&M in baseball.
Okay, that's one angle, which is great. I think another angle you can bring to it is called respect and mutual love for each other, right? Now, what I mean by that is, let's flip it all the way back to TCU. At TCU, Schloss was working for what is pretty much, from what I've heard, a very, very, very close friend of his, and who was the AD at the time. Now, at that time, you're working at TCU. He's who your quote-unquote boss is, right? And then now, A&M comes calling, you get a chance to come into this league and really kind of ratchet up everything you're able to do. Well, TCU wasn't going to be able to, let's go compete with that price tag and be able to compete with what he was going to be able to do resource-wise for a team at A&M. Of course, he takes that job. Fast forward, that same guy takes the job as the AD at Texas. You don't think that there was some in the back of his mind, if I get the chance, or if I get the chance to hire my really close friend, if I get the chance to work for my really close friend again, I'm probably going to do that.
Yeah. I think
I think that got a lot to do with it.
I think the bigger question is, when is he ever going to go to Houston and just finish the loop around Texas? You went from TCU, Texas A&M, Texas.
Well,
I think Houston's the next biggest one you can go to.
Houston's got to do a lot more to get him there.
No. I mean, he's been the head coach at 3 of the prominent universities in the state of Texas. It's pretty impressive.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
Everything.
I mean, he's just the man could not be more of a slut, just going around from paycheck to paycheck to do whatever he can. But another name that's been mentioned.
He likes Texas toast.
Loves Buc-ee's.
Buc-ee's coming to Louisiana.
Is it
Lafayette?
They're going to Lafayette and they're going to Ruston.
Yeah, but they're making it right there right off Louisiana Avenue. Let's go. I go that way a lot.
Oh, traffic and it's perfect. getting off the.
Love me some Buc-ee's. Go ahead.
But the next name that has been brought up in the chat, which I think is an interesting one, is I want to give credit to the guy that said it, and I'll find it in a second. Oh, Dead-Eye Jed. Ask Mikey and Mitch, do you guys think that Texas A&M will offer Nate Yetzke the head coaching job formerly of Texas A&M?
I do not. I mean, I think that's a very good possibility, but based off of what they said, I want to make a splash hire. I want to hire whoever. He doesn't fit that mold either, as far as head coaching experience goes.
They're gonna reach out to Vitello. They're gonna reach out to Jay. Those are your splash hires.
O'Sullivan. I think that's a splash one too.
Yeah, look around in that closet.
What do you mean? The Clemson guy's a splash hire.
No, I know.
I think anybody who's got, like, when I say splash, to me, that is someone with head coaching experience, someone with head coaching success. Now, obviously, that doesn't necessarily mean you had to have won a national championship.
There's not many that
to me, is a splash hire. Not a risk hire. That's a splash hire.
I agree.
If Jett Johnston does get offered the job and takes it, which I'd never think would happen, I guess I'd just be without a father. But where would LSU go? Is the next question.
That's an actual question, or are you making that up?
No, it said, Ed O said J to A&M and Vitello to LSU, which made me pose the question of if LSU did have to look, which I severely doubt and would never happen. Well, I guess it would be Cliff Godwin. That would make the most sense to me.
I don't think Vitello would come here.
No, look at what he just did at Tennessee. The man's a god.
He ain't going anywhere.
No,
he's about to get a statue built.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you would go back to Cliff. That's the only option I would imagine. I mean, I say only option. I mean, that's off the top of my head, but
that conversation comes back to the same reason.
I think honestly, knowing
Go ahead,
Scott
go
Woodward,
ahead.
he'd probably go after like Joe Madden. Could you imagine Joe Madden coaching in college baseball?
Yvette Yard?
No, he needs a little baseball experience.
Oh. Jay's not leaving.
I bring up the reason why I bring up the Clemson guy, and I always forget his name, but I know they've had a string of being like successful, but basically not getting over the hump in terms of getting to Omaha or being successful when they've gotten there. So the guy that took over the longtime guy there, would make sense to be like, man, now you're gonna give me it. Like, maybe in his mind it's not gonna happen here. You don't know. Yeah. Maybe you can plant that in his mind at that point, and maybe you're like, but you do have a chance to come here in this league where our resources are very plentiful. Like, we can do a lot of things for you, and maybe you make that move.
Right.
I don't know.
And to answer the first question that we were talking about, why somebody would leave A&M to go to Texas when it feels like the playing field is equal, the man just didn't like A&M. Like, obviously, he's boys with DeConte and the athletic director there, and that makes a ton of sense. But when you look at Texas's options and, like, the two programs and where they are, obviously Schlossnagle built that thing. But look at where Texas plays. It's an all-turf field. We're in the middle of nowhere where A&M's about to get an $80 million renovation. Like, I think their culture and what they've done there has come up to bite them in the ass a little bit, because you look at the program from the outside looking in. If you're not a part of the cult, if you're not an A&M lifer, you really don't have a reason to go there and get indoctrinated into this belief of whatever the fuck they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, Lloyd, but here's why I disagree with you in the sense of on the 15th and the 31st, that check he was already getting was large enough to not make you really worry about any of that stuff at night. So I think that's not really a thing he was thinking about. I think when it came down to it, it's, that we mentioned the relationship part with the AD, but as well, like, let's be honest, I may have to go build something there a couple of years. It only took him 3 years to build what they built at A&M. You're thinking, man, if I got Austin, Texas, and what this machine of Texas is here behind me as well, how quick can we build this shit here?
Yeah.
And how long can we keep it running here?
Well, here's the deal.
Because you got to believe a man that went there to A&M and did what he did there thinks highly about his ability to do it at a more prominent place. It just is. It doesn't matter where the dollars are. It's just a more prominent place.
I mean, and let's say he gets all these guys from A&M to transfer there. Now there's no rebuild. It's the same team. You're just at a different school.
And that's where I think
Right.
I think that's the bigger question of all this. Like, we talked about NIL and the transfer portal. I think with the way that this is shaping up, where there's a lot of rumors of what happened and how this whole thing went down, where it was kind of decided in the middle of the year that Schlossnagle was going to go to Texas, and I don't know if, like, what's been rumored is that he was recruiting for Texas. Like, I feel like that's something that could be an impetus for, okay, this is why the transfer portal has to change or has to be different, because it was initially set up for a situation like this, but not entirely like this, where you should be able to transfer if your coach is leaving, but you also shouldn't be able to be wooed by your coach that is going to a different job.
And that's a rumor.
I'm saying it's all a rumor.
Yeah,
but
we don't know that. Obviously, like, I'm sure some of that stuff happens, right? When guys go, we don't know, was the decision made the week before Omaha? Was it made middle of the season? We don't know those answers. But what we do know is he did take the job, and those guys may come. But to I guess, go against, like, oh, he was recruiting actively during the season. Like, the guys that are transferring from A&M, like, that has nothing to do with him recruiting them to go. They signed to play for him, and they're probably going to follow him. As far as the high school recruits go, that's all rumor stuff. You can't. It's hard to speculate on that.
No, I'm just saying it puts a new wrinkle in my mind of what the transfer portal is. If you can go and take a different job and be like, I can bring an entire roster with me.
And you're not technically allowed to go talk to team players on teams from current, from other like, I'm from LSU. I can't go and talk to guys from Tennessee in the season trying to get them to transfer. They have to actively put their name in the portal, but that happens anyway.
Right.
Around the country in football and baseball, people are tampering with rosters when they're not supposed to.
Right, and that's what I think is – go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, that's what I was going to say is, like, that's what I think could be, like, a kind of like a windfall case for, like, is this what you want athletics to be in college, where it's, oh, I can go take a job at Texas or wherever and be like, I don't have to rebuild anything. I have a relationship with the 7 best players on my team that just went to the College World Series and was 1 game away from winning. I can bring all of that to Texas with me without any fail. Like, I feel like that's something that if you look at it, what kind of sport
but that's such a slippery slope, Lloyd, because the truth of the matter is if we're not going to hold coaches to whatever that standard is that we're hoping that we have in this situation, there's just no way in hell you can hold an 18, 19, 20, right, or in Kirby Connell's situation, a 23, almost 24-year-old college player too. It just doesn't make any sense, and that's completely unfair. So I do think if there was something going on when it comes to like high school players or players on other rosters, like, yeah, man, like that's a tough look, and we don't know if any of that to be true, so it's really hard for me to even speak on any of that stuff. But as far as for the players on their roster, I find it very hard to believe any of them knew anything about any of this before it came out after the game. And then at that point, it's, yeah, bro, of course I'm going to play for the guy. Like, you take somebody like Jace LaViolette. Yeah, bro, of course I'm going to play for the guy I've hit 50-plus homers for, who I know believes in everything I do, and if I go for 10, he won't give a shit. He'll be right there with me. And then maybe Caden Sorrell's like, man, I've looked up to everything Jace LaViolette has done. I want to play with that dude. I love playing with that dude. He's going. And then Grahovac's like, well, shit, I enjoy playing with both of them too, so let me bounce as well. Like, you can't say the players can't do it, but all of a sudden the coach can. That just, in that case, it won't make any sense. It's just completely unfair.
Right.
And that leads to my next question for Ask Mikey and Mitch. This may be the last one up unless we get a couple more in. But from Lance James, Ask Mikey and Mitch, if you woke up tomorrow and it was your decision, how would you fix the problems with the transfer portal and NIL?
I've talked about this a lot. I would exactly what Peter Burns said. And, Lloyd, you can defend me on this. I said this early on when this started happening. I said, what you're going to start to see, the only way you can do this is if it turns into like a mini NFL and Major League Baseball union. You got the college sports union, and you're going to have representation, and you're going to have a salary cap, and you're going to have minimums and all this kind of stuff. That's the only way you can control it. And then you say, okay, if you're going to be in the portal, you can only transfer one time before penalty. Like, you've got to have some regulations and some parameters to these situations. And if I had to make the decision, I would somehow figure out how to make a governing board, or an organization, and create a union to where now you have representation and there's things that are negotiated on. Jay?
Yeah, man, I'm pretty much in line with a lot of that. Like I said, Peter mentioned it before. We've kind of talked about stuff like this off the show before, but what I mentioned about something very sad would probably have to happen. It would have to be the realization of, oh, wow, we're going to have to cut lacrosse here. We're going to have to cut women's golf. We're going to have to cut some kind of a non-revenue generating sport that there's a lot of people invested in at this particular school. And it would be something that would have to happen widespread to be like, wow, we can't actually do that. So coming up with it would be this same type of idea where there's going to have to be some kind of a union. There's going to have to be some kind of a parameter, whether it's more than one time there's a penalty, whether it's you only get 2 times to transfer and that's it, and you're stuck there. That's what it is. But there's going to have to be some kind of parameter, some kind of way of putting this thing in a, let's be honest, kind of an unfair box a little bit, but it's a little more regulated and a little more fair than kind of what's going on right now. Because truth of the matter is, if you're A&M and you lose your head coach and you lose every single one of your assistant coaches, and then all of a sudden, not only do you lose your best players to the draft because they're eligible for it, but you lose the next 6 of them to go right to the rival school. I don't care who you're bringing in. Good luck turning that around and keeping that going next year.
Yeah.
And that's where we get into the nexus, the final one for Ask Mikey and Mitch. From DA, Ask M&M, would it be possible to have players in universities agree to terms to sign a contract for at least 2 years so that coach can build around big-name players to have a better chance to win, which I think it makes the most sense. But what you all are talking about is when you start to get into the Title IX part of this entire thing, which is law. And it hasn't come up yet. It hasn't been a deal because there's been no programs cut, aside from Vanderbilt's softball team, which they don't have. I don't know how they get away with that. But that would be the thing that would make the most sense, to put some sort of regulation on this, to where it's like you can't just portal hop every year like Peter Burns was saying, which is what they should do. If I can get
if that's part of the system, that's the best way to maximize your value in the system you did. Unless there's a school or a coach that you that's the only, it doesn't matter. Yes, if you're looking for get the most value, that's how you do it.
Like you said, I dislike the system as it is today. And I don't blame the kids for doing what they're doing in the system that is what it is. And we've talked about it, and I've been on record saying that get while the getting's good, because this right now will be the most profitable time ever for a college athlete.
100%.
Because you will never find, when it comes to being a college athlete, you will never find a time again when they finally figure out a way to put like some strangleholds on this thing to be as free and as much of an independent contractor as you are right now. And hell, it's hard to find it at this level in anywhere else in the world right now, honestly.
Listen, there's no other job in the world, right? There's no other field in the world that you can just have free reign and there's really no rules, and you as the employee hold all the power. Right? As Peter said, there's contracts in literally everything you do in the workforce. In any other professional sport, the only thing you don't have a contract in is right now in college football. And to your point, Jared, this is the most lucrative time as college sports. This is the most lucrative time as is ever going to be for a college athlete. Like, no doubt about it. I'm glad I was thinking that earlier. I'm glad you said that.
Oh, one more from Lance James. Ask him them. Did any of you guys ever go back and watch any old LSU games of any sport in your free time? What specific games do you choose?
Like any games, baseball, football, is any LSU?
Any games, basketball.
I don't usually go back and watch old games unless it's like on TV. Unless you SEC,
catch it on the SEC network.
Yeah, or ESPNU is like playing an old classic.
Which they need to bring back.
Now, when we were in college,
we
used to watch highlight films of the old '90s teams.
Really?
As motivation, like fun stuff on the bus and stuff.
Still.
Yeah, we did. And the same thing. I'm really not huge on going back. Like, once I know the result of something in my mind, I'm like, well, I already know what happened, so I don't know why I'm watching this again. So I really don't do that much at all. But we did do that when we were in college. That was something we used pretty religiously, honestly. Was going back and watching the 90s teams and the moments that they had and using that to kind of fuel us through stuff. So it definitely was a thing at that point for me.
And kind of superstition and tradition kind of thing. You know what I mean?
But it also became fun. You were like, I want to see this.
Yeah.
I want to relive that moment,
Yep, no doubt. Is that it, Lloyd?
LSU, Alabama, 2012.
I was about to say you watched a bad one.
No, that will never be on my screen again.
Oh,
I lived in that moment.
I did too.
It is an absolute.
I did too. That was the most
It
silent
broke me.
I've ever been.
It broke me.
I don't know if I've
13, 14, 15, 16, and 17 basically don't exist in my mind. I was just there.
12 was the one that like hurts the most.
Yeah, that's what Les can find a cliff and see the bottom
Shouldn't
of
have kicked the ball out of bounds either.
it. No, all of it. It's ridiculous.
No timeouts, 40 seconds.
Personal foul.
Let's kick the ball out of bounds. Squib it out of bounds. Let's squib it out of bounds.
He tried to do a coffin corner kick off. Just the dumbest. That's so stupid.
Yep.
Ripped it.
Yep. All right, is that it for Ask Mikey Mitch?
Oh, one more from Fonz
Oh,
Ferrelli.
they just keep sneaking in there.
They just keep sneaking in there. Ask him, how horny do you think Jay is looking at those two rosters, thinking of who he could take? Love my guy, Fonz.
As we've talked about, I don't think he's going to be able to get much of the A&M guys.
Do you think that makes it like a...
Maybe some of the Texas – I don't know who Texas has, but they've got some people. I mean, they were supposed to be really good.
I mean, I would imagine maybe if there's some people that it literally maybe came down to A&M and LSU or Texas and LSU and they built a good rapport that there's at least a, hey, you up?
Yeah.
Hey, big head.
Yeah, hey, big head, you
Miss
up?
you. How you been? I would imagine there's, at least some
What's
of
up,
that,
stranger?
but it'd be hard for me to believe he thinks he has like a super realistic chance to be able to get some of these guys off the A&M roster more likely, and maybe there's more of a chance off the Texas roster.
What's crazy?
Your name came up in conversation, big guy.
Yeah, I've been thinking about you.
How you doing?
I saw something that reminded me of you. Should call her. But do you think that if he doesn't get anybody, that would be seen as like a... I mean, you know how this fan base is, and there's reports of Jay flirting with Texas and all of that and how he wasn't happy with how the fan base was treating the team in the middle of the year. If he isn't pulling anybody from this Texas A&M and Texas class, would that be seen as a black eye by some of the fan base?
No.
Because I think that would be silly.
It would be
only
silly.
if they went to other schools. Yeah,
Right,
only
yeah,
if they
there
went
you
to other
go.
schools, but
Okay.
I can't stop laughing because I just keep thinking of what's really creative ways that a coach can keep going back to basically sending those texts. Oh, hey bud, I didn't realize I texted you. Oh, it's like just man, how you doing though?
Oops.
See anything going on? I didn't know about recently?
Wrong number. Oops, I didn't mean to send you that text.
New phone.
New phone, who this?
Who dis? All right, and I think that is about it for Ask Mikey and Mitch.
It is June 26th. Okay?
I thought it was July.
We're almost in July. Then you got about 5 weeks. It's 5.5, 6 weeks, probably. Of all right, we're going to start talking about football and we're start getting really excited about football. And then when that 6 weeks hits, it's like a tsunami hits you right in the face. And that's the only thing that's on TV is football. You see Dan Orlovsky and Ryan Clark and those guys on TV. You're going to start seeing a lot more Greg McElroy and the college side, Kirk Herbstreit. You're going to have all of those guys on TV again talking football, and I'm pretty jacked up. We've already talked about Vegas. Talked to you about how excited I am for Vegas. I think we should go see a show in the Sphere. Do you
They
not?
should play a football game in the Sphere.
No, you can't do that. Jay, do you think you're gonna make it out down to Vegas?
I don't know. I mean, I would love to. We'll see.
I'm gone.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure yet. I would love to though. But as far as for the football talk being in here, but it's already started. What do you mean? Ryan Clark's on TV again this morning. I think he hosted Get Up again this morning. It's starting.
Yeah.
I think NFL training camp starts in probably 4 weeks from now. So it's definitely closer than 6, and it's pretty much almost here already because college is going to kick up a little bit before NFL starts.
Oh, buddy, nobody's going to be more excited for college football this year because in
12 teams?
July 19th, the college football game comes out, so it's going to be like the de
Oh,
facto
yeah.
start
Yep.
of college football where people are just going to be nonstop grinding on this
Speaking
thing.
of, they voted top the hardest stadiums on the thing. LSU's 3.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Bullshit.
Though number 1 and number 2s were not good either, I don't think.
It was A&M and Bryant-Denny.
Yeah, Bryant Denny
No.
definitely not in that. A&M, okay.
Oh.
I still don't think they're
No,
good.
Not okay. I don't want to hear that shit.
No.
Listen.
Listen, let me finish. Let me finish. I don't think A&M by any means should be in there. But I can, like, if you wanted to try to make a case for any of the – maybe – definitely not Bryant Denny. Stuck up, spoiled. Oh, we've only won. Let's get mad when we don't get a first down one time out of the whole game. That team, that stadium is not a hard place to play. No.
Now, the LSU-Alabama game in 2011, it
Different.
was on tilt.
That was different. That was a different
It
thing.
was a cool environment. I'll give him that. That one game.
But that was number 1 versus number 2. Like, that
Game
was
of the century.
And that was before they were, like, super spoiled and, like, entitled to championships, right? Because they've won so many. This was there in the beginning of it. So it was a little different.
I do think that for, I guess, just in the video game sense, like, I'd imagine that, like, the light shows and all of that atmosphere have something to do with it, where LSU is still very old school.
We're getting that, aren't we?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they're changing that. I'm pretty sure they're.
Stuff up. They've already changed both of the scoreboards and stuff. They're changing some stuff up. Yeah, it's gonna be a little different this year.
I'm pretty sure they got the lights in there too, the LED lights.
Oh, I can't wait for that first game to happen when everybody just starts bitching about it.
No,
all these
dude,
78-year-old.
the swag surfing on the
No,
thing.
I'm talking about the 80-year-old people that are going to have an epileptic seizure because they're like, oh, it's too bright.
That's
the
okay.
Donald Trump, it's too bright.
I can't wait to see that. What else? Are you getting the game?
Well, fuck yeah.
You are? You're going to go buy a whole new console?
I got a PS5.
What PS are they on now?
5.
Okay.
Maybe 6 by that time.
Stop. Don't do that. You sound 52 right now.
He's going to hate the light show.
Oh, God.
I'm
You're
just-
better off saying, like, I haven't played a video game since I was 18 than acting like you're 52
I was
right now.
joking.
What PlayStation?
I
are they
know that
on?
there's a PS5. I'm just joking. I'm yanking your chain, Lloyd. That's all I'm doing.
Jeez.
That even sounded old.
Yeah, is it on Gamecast?
I got Gamecast.
You got GameCube, Gamecast.
There's Dreamcast and GameCube.
Sega. You got Sega Genesis.
I said what I said.
Atari. I wasn't even born when Atari was there.
But no, I think that is going to be a confluence of people getting excited for college football again, because it hasn't happened since 2014? Was that the last one?
Yeah, I think 14 was the last one.
Yeah.
Denard Robinson on the cover. Shoelace.
Sounds about
Who
right.
he got
Sounds about right.
out of
Shoelace
shape.
was up there.
Is he out of shape?
Oh, it looks brutal.
Damn. Do we think Alabama's gonna be good? Like, when I say good, I mean like that. Like, what we consider the Nick Saban Alabama's to be good, not good. Hey, they're gonna be 10-3 good, or 9-4 good.
I'd be surprised if they don't have double-digit wins. Straight up.
I would be too.
That's where I'm at
But
with.
here's the deal. I say I wouldn't be surprised if they end up with double-digit wins, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they didn't end up with double-digit wins.
I can't wait for that first year.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that they could be good. I just,
he's a good coach.
He is a great coach. Listen, what he did at Washington's great. I am not saying he's not. It's just
everywhere he's been, he's done it everywhere.
Right.
Not just at Washington, everywhere.
No doubt.
We'll get a good. Of course, Alabama still with the schedule that they put out was obviously with Saban in mind, where they start off with Western Kentucky and USF. But USF sneaky hard last year for some reason when they started the lacrosse player at quarterback. But the third game of the year, they go Wisconsin, and then they have Georgia at home. So they have to go to Madison, which
tough.
Sneaky good.
That's a hard
good
place.
environment.
That's a really good environment. That is a very good environment. Penn State, good environment.
The real question is, boy, how on earth? Like, I feel like they're going to be okay because it just usually always happens that way. But then at the same time, if we're 8 weeks in and they got 4 losses, maybe 5 at the point, how on earth does Napier make it out of Florida with the job this year?
He better hope that he doesn't go to the end of the year with 4 or 5 losses, because those last 5 weeks of the season are brutal. Like, brutal. Listen, definitely on the hot seat. Like, hey, you got to win. Not only do you have to win, you're going to play the hardest schedule maybe in the history of
He has the hardest schedule
college
I've ever
football.
seen in college football.
So he better hope. He better hope he don't have many losses going into the last 5 games of the season. We want to read off those games?
Man, that's gonna be
Yeah.
We talked about this when the schedule came out. This has been the talk of obviously everybody when they see their schedule, how impossible those last 5 games are. And not only
Here's
are
the
they
schedule right here.
not
Here's
only
the
are they
schedule.
good, it's just they're up. They're like
They're gonna go.
Yeah, keep going. Go.
Well, listen, they're going to start the season off on the 31st against Miami. That's a toss-up. Then you go
Lose
against
that
Sanford. Then you go against A&M. That's possible too right there. All right? And then you got at Mississippi State, and you got home against UCF. And then you go to Tennessee. That's possible loss. And then you got home against Kentucky. That's a possible loss. And then after that, you only got Georgia, at Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, at Florida State, and that's how you finish your season.
With an interim
Bro.
head coach.
Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah. Yeah.
you talk about the last, like they can legit have four to 5 losses before they get to that last 5, dog. It can happen.
Yeah. They could have a 3-9 season.
It,
That's
4
such
and
a
8
crazy
season.
schedule.
and this is going to happen to some team every year where you just get the unfortunate roll of the dice of what
Mm-hmm.
the SEC is now when you add Texas and Oklahoma, and everybody's going to get. They gave Florida the shaft because I feel like they knew that Billy Napier's time was up anyway, and it's
Yep.
let's just get this thing over with. Because I would honestly, if I was Florida, who continues to struggle to find a head coach and struggles with this ability to have some
I
sort of.
think they were in a worse spot than anybody thought they were. Like I think
That was going to
Mullen,
be my
like
yeah.
Go ahead.
That was going to be my point. Is like I would almost throw this year out if I'm Florida because the schedule is so brutal. You haven't been able to have a head coach to be able to build anything there because you keep firing them before they can put their thumbprint on the program. But this just feels like it's setting up for Napier to be like a sacrificial lamb.
Well,
Hey, look, and the reason why I say that too, like here's the funny part is like you think about what they were last year, and they started playing better towards the end of the year, and very sneakily, like Graham Mertz started playing a lot better.
Yeah.
So like they got a whole lot better at the quarterback play. Like, does he continue to do that? Because I'm looking at the schedule and not knowing what they're going to get out of the quarterback play. I'm dead serious when I say this, bro. I'm counting 11 games where I'm like, I don't know.
yeah. Right.
I don't.
Right.
I'm not even trying to be funny. I'm not even trying to pile on. I'm not even looking at them like, hey, they're terrible. They're a bottom end of the SEC team. I'm not even looking at it like that. I'm literally looking at it like, I don't know, bro. I don't know if they're going to beat that team.
Yeah. And Billy Napier is known to be that guy with the quarterbacks, right? Being able to develop them and be an offensive guy, all these types of things. So Graham Mertz did play well, right? Hopefully he can continue to do that. Now, if Florida does go, let's say 8-4, right? That's a hell of a coaching job by Billy and those guys if they end up able to go with something like that, because it is an impossible schedule when you're kind of in a situation where you took over a team that was not probably in as good of shape as you thought, and then it's gotten worse and worse. You haven't really seen any progress of coming out of that. Now, if you go 8-4 in a time where everybody kind of thought you could have potentially gone 3-8 or 3-9, maybe you get a little bit of momentum there. But there hasn't been a lot of positive stuff coming out of Florida.
No, they've been entrenched in this NIL offering, what is it, Jaden Rashada, like the contract where they didn't have the money to pay him, and now they're getting sued by Rashada, who's at Georgia.
Which the rumor is that Kirby told him to do it.
Yeah. It's just a mess, dude.
Hey, hot take for you right now. Give me your answer on this one right now. No injuries thrown into it right now. LSU defense, over or under a top 50 defense in the country this year?
Under. Now, they may be 49, but under.
I think a better way to maybe ask it is better than last year or not.
Yes. I think that should be the. I think
No,
that's
not. They were
that's a
last year. You don't have to do much to be better.
Yeah, I think top 50. Yes, 49 maybe, but top 50.
If
I'm not saying they're going to be like a top 15 defense. I hope to God if they're a top 15 defense, holy shit, watch
They
out.
should win a natty.
But inside the top 50, upper parts of the 40s, I could see them doing it.
I'm going as well. I think they'll be better than they'll be inside the top 50. I do think bringing Blake back, I think bringing Corey back, I think bringing the defensive line coach back, I think all those things will reign hugely in how this thing goes and the kind of support they have, the kind of camaraderie they're going to play with, and I just think they're going to be coached up a lot better. I just do.
What's the deal with your do you need to get on the phone and talk to your Westgate brethren and your alumni?
Yeah, dude.
And say, what's going on over there at Westgate? Why can't we get these? Why are these guys just leaving LSU?
Maybe me and Corey got to make a trip down there ourselves and just
dude, what's going on?
Yeah, well,
we got
back down to the Berry.
The guy went from that was at Westgate, went to Texas. Put up great athletes. I don't know what happened.
They're tired of wearing purple and gold.
Lafayette.
Yeah, I mean,
Lafayette, Louisiana, like New Iberia, like that area used to be untouchable for anybody else. LSU, that's where they were going.
Because it was the unknown at that point. Nobody was coming in there to recruit it like crazy like that. Yeah. And I think, a lot of, if I'm being completely honest, the U's of the world come in, it becomes more, people see it a little more. Like, wait, hold up now. What they got going on down there? That kid's been all around doing all this. Yeah. Let me go see what else. And then that kind of turns into that. So you can pat yourself on the back for that one, Mikey, because I think people like you are the reason why people know about that area now and they come to recruit that.
Well, you too. Yeah, we're the same area. Same area code. Same area
code. And then I got everybody to go up to Alexandria and get the Jacoby and Guillory's of the world.
There you go.
JT Lindsay, Alexandria, baby. But that is the one question mark, like Jared said. The changes that they've fundamentally made on the defense was just staff, and you would hope that they'd be coached up better. And I do think that the addition of Kevin Peoples is going to be huge because they didn't even have a defensive line coach. Yeah. Now you have one that is rumored to be the best in the country at it, but you don't have any defensive linemen.
That's you have some. It's not a lot.
And you bring back Bo Davis too as well? Yeah.
Yeah, you have two. Like you had 0, now you have 2. But I don't know how much – you can only coach up so much without bringing in talent, and they're still probably a year or two away from bringing in game changers.
But here's the deal. I think they're talented enough to be a top 50 defense.
I don't know. Yeah.
I do. I do think that they're talented. They're not bringing in scrubs. Like, they're bringing in talented guys. They may not have the depth of the talent that we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
But I think the guys they're going to put out there are definitely talented enough to be a top 50 defense.
Yeah,
and to be a top 50 defense, you really don't have to be that great. Like, let's tell the truth.
And here's the deal.
It's not, you don't have to be that great to be a top 50 defense. I do think that they have the ability to do that easily.
Here's the deal. They could give up more yards. They could be, let's say, 102nd in yards given up in a game. But if they ain't giving up points, I don't care. Like, that may be the situation that this team is in. It's like, hey, we don't have the depth to be able to sustain that. Like, they're going to get some chunk plays or they're going to get some yards. As long as we are good inside the 20s and they don't score or we can stop them when they're back and flip the field, you're going to be a top 50 defense.
Hey, I'm about to say, just sidebar, just so everyone understands what we're saying about that is, just like you said, we can go ahead from stat to stat and go up and down, but when we say top 50 defense, I really mean scoring defense,
yes.
Right? Because that's really the one that at the end of the year,
matters.
You look at it and say, well, what were that? And then you'll probably look at like yards and like turnovers and stuff like that. But when I say top 50 defense, I first and foremost mean scoring defense.
And here's the other deal. Here's the other conversation, right? Last year didn't have a lot of depth on the defensive line, where our secondary. We were great for the most part, first and second down. Third downs, we were awful. If you just cut that in half, that makes you a lot better of a defense.
Hey, and let me throw this too, just so people can really kind of understand this, because I do think, in a weird way, this had a huge bunch to do with it too. It's not that we played ahead with the lead so much, but our offense was damn good at getting off the field as well last year. And they did it by scoring points. So that only put your defense out there more. And it's not like we had huge leads to where that's where the situation was. So it was literally tit for tat and you go back and forth. I'm not saying that we won't have that kind of offense. I'm not saying that they won't be able to score this year. But what we saw last year, we didn't think we'd get anywhere close to what we got in 2019. And we damn near eclipsed that last year.
Yep.
So that played into it as well.
Isn't this fun? Lloyd, isn't this fun? We're all talking. It's all,
and football,
and we love baseball. Listen, we made our careers in baseball. But Man, talking to football is fun, isn't it?
I'm already
A lot of good conversations.
For the
I mean, there is no
game.
shortage of football conversations during football season.
I mean, you can even go 1 year from now whenever you're – I mean, this is what Jared brought up. Probably was the first person that actually really mentioned it was that Nussmeier could come back next year, but everything you've seen from Underwood is like he's going to come in and make a push to be a starter because he's got that level of talent already, and that will be the interesting part is you're almost in a spot where do you, like, say, Nuss,
go get drafted.
Go.
Now, I am very
hit the
excited to
portal.
watch Nuss play.
And that would be
No, you don't tell Nuss hit the portal.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It would be an all-time travesty if you had a guy that stuck around through everything.
If Nuss goes out this year and does what we think he's going to do, right, has a good year, he is no doubt the starting quarterback there. Same conversation that we had going into the last year with Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels had a really good year. The year before, people didn't really love it because for some reason they just didn't love it. Still haven't understood that. And then there was like, oh, who's going to be the quarterback? Who's going to be the quarterback? Jaden should have gone to the draft, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes out and has this unbelievable season. If Nuss has a good year, he is the quarterback the next year. Like, that is just it.
Yeah, but I'm going to be honest with y'all. If we're really talking about looking far ahead, since that's the one you just brought up, Lloyd, I think the big and huge question, and probably something you need to roundtable every single day if you are the LSU coaching staff for at least 5 minutes a day, however you got to do it, is, hey, how on earth are we going to keep Bryce Underwood here when we tell him he's going to have to sit another year?
Yeah.
Or he's going to have to sit a year? Because Nuss is going to play well, and if he doesn't get drafted and comes back, he's going to start the next year. How are we going to keep Bryce happy? Because that will be the huge selling point at that point.
Yep.
That's what I think is going to happen.
And you're going to have to figure out how did Texas do it. Now you got lucky, I guess, because it's Arch Manning and, like, I guess. But
no, I think at that point you keep picking up the phone call and saying, like, hey man, y'all got this transfer portal thing figured out yet, bro? Because I need you to get this thing figured out, bro. Like, I'm just trying to tell you. 2025 is coming up. I need you to get this figured out soon. All right, I'll play back later.
Gotta keep this guy.
Yeah, that's the decision you're going to have to make at some point. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, look, maybe Nuss has an unbelievable season, first-team All-American, and goes to the draft. Doesn't come back. Maybe that's the case. But then the question, if that does happen, and this is the beauty of it, is because there's always going to be question marks, is, okay, how is LSU going to look and fare with a rookie first-year quarterback, true 18-year-old as a starting quarterback? Okay, how good he is, what are they going to look like with a guy as a freshman? So if Nuss leaves, those will be the questions. Yeah. If Nuss doesn't leave, how do you keep this guy happy without him starting? That's the situation they're in.
Yeah, I mean, he said he wants to come in and play as a freshman, win 3
Heismans
and 2 national championships.
Of course, he should want to. Like,
that's why I said the root question is, boy, if Nuss plays well, there's no way we can backseat him right here. And if he doesn't leave, how on earth are we keeping this man happy in Baton Rouge for a whole year to where he ain't bouncing?
Yep.
It's a Chris Leak, Tim Tebow situation.
No, it's not. Chris Leak had no pro prospects.
No, it's not.
He had no pro prospects behind it. Well, I guess it's similar, kind of is.
Yeah, very little. I won't say very little. He had not very much pro prospect, and he had been on the field and a good quarterback for the last 2 or 3 years already.
Yeah, it was honestly, it's kind of, no, I wouldn't even say it. I was going to say it's kind of like a Fromm Fields type situation, but they're the same class.
There you go. That's closer. Yeah, that's a closer one. Much closer. That's exactly what I was thinking you would bring up. Much closer.
Tua Jalen Hurts, right? Same situation. But Tua ends up taking over the spot, and Jalen Hurts transfers. It wouldn't be quite that way because Nuss would be a senior season.
Well, Fromm Fields is the one that comes to my mind for real.
Yeah, they put him at punter against LSU.
I mean, he's punt returning for the he's kick returning for the
punt returner in Madden.
For
kick returner.
Yeah, for Pittsburgh. We're almost here. We're almost there. 4th of July, though, and then after 4th of July, after the All-Star – actually, it's after the Major League Baseball All-Star break, which, speaking of, May see some first-time Tigers in the All-Star game, which would be awesome.
Talk to me.
The most unexpected probably of any of them in the big leagues. And we're going to save that for the curtain calls because that is my curtain call. But, yeah, you may have a different type of flair in the All-Star game from LSU than you're used to seeing. You're used to seeing Bregman, LeMahieu, Will Harris made an All-Star team, Aaron Nola, those types of guys. You may hear some different names. Skeens doesn't. I'm not talking about Skeens. I do believe he could, if he's eligible, he should be in the All-Star game. But I'm talking about someone else that we're going to get to. That was our little tease into college football.
Of your football, please.
It got me excited. Got me very excited.
Boy.
And look, Jay's in SC Network now. We've got some other connections we can bring on the show, talk more football. That's your job. That's your mission out there. We need you to get some contacts for us.
We'll be working on this thing.
Lloyd, you got mistake of the day? Brought to you by our friends at Lloyd's.
At Lloyd's.
I did this twice. There's a Lloyd's po' boy.
Mitch Fire.
Brought to you by our friends at Doe's Place.
Retired early.
Uh-huh.
My mistake of the day brought to you by Doe's Place. I don't have a lot of information on it, and I guess America is burying this narrative as they should. But the U.S. under-20 football team lost to Japan in a semifinal upset. They lost 41-20.
Have you found the roster?
No, that's what I'm saying.
What's the name of it?
They're burying this.
What's the name of it?
It is the United States national football team, which is something that they should never lose in. It felt like that you were pretty safe as the penultimate inventors of the game of football, where you feel like you had a pretty good lead going into anybody that you played, but Japan put together a hell of a squad, apparently. I don't know.
U.S. national team, USA football.
They were down 20-0. 27-0.
Wow, they just deleted the website, apparently.
Yeah, it's over. Fold the team.
Application error. Client-side exception has occurred.
I bet.
Let me bring it up.
I mean, how could you not put together like a roster of guys? Like, call Ryan Perrilloux.
Are you looking at you think Twitter would have it?
I'm on Twitter right now.
I'm looking at Google.
All right. I just don't have a roster of who would be on the U.S. national football team, and I even went to their website before it shut down.
Here we go. U.S. national team is competing in the 2024 IFAF U20 Men's Tackle World Championship in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
Here are two names. Stop me if you've heard these before. Marvin Brown, Keon Kenner.
I do not know them.
Did they play in college?
Yeah.
They have rosters.
He went to
tackle national teams. Okay.
He's a 6', 200-pound running back that had one offer from Boston College.
Are these high school kids?
No, his offers are Air Force, Army, Boston College, Georgetown, and Lafayette.
So these are college.
They're under 20.
Oh, I guess that's right. Duh. They don't have a roster though.
Clearly not. They need to change.
There's
the
a
rules
U.S. women's national tackle football team.
Tackle team.
It's just a sad day to be an American when you can't even win the sport that you invented. They need to go back to the old whatever this happened, and you lost in basketball and you got the dream team together. That's what America needs to do for football.
They come out and said many college and professional stars have worn the red, white, and blue as part of the national team, including Rashad Bateman, Mac Jones, Tyrann Mathieu, Kenny Pickett, Nazir Stackhouse, Jonathan Taylor, Wyatt Taylor, Chase Young, and many more. I have never heard of this thing.
Me either.
Never.
First time.
I think we would have known if Tyrann played on this team, right? I imagine they're not lying.
You should start putting out some lies. Bury this narrative.
Mistake of the day? Just because I didn't know about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a sad day in America. We brag about being back-to-back World War champs, all of these things. You just got embarrassed in football by Japan.
Okay. Curtain call brought to you by our friends at Doe's Place. Fuck me.
There you go.
Curtain call brought to you by our friends at Assured Partners.
Yeah. And?
And me. That's how I know it messed up. I didn't hear the and.
Fuck me.
Go ahead, Lloyd. Go ahead.
My curtain call, going back to Japan, I'm trying to find her name. Xiao Zun dropped 41, 14, and 4.
And how tall is Zalzon?
She's 7 feet tall. And
7 foot 3 inches.
And plays Japan basketball. So they're just taking over sport. It's over for us.
You know what? Speaking of basketball, France is kind of taking over a little bit.
First 2 picks in the draft.
Well, no, the first pick. Second pick's from Australia, but then they have another first rounder that's projected to go top 10 from France as well. Last year, Wemby, obviously, from France. Tony Parker making a difference
They do some
out
big
there.
things over there. So
Tony
let me just go ahead and push me right into my curtain call because that's where I'm at with this thing. I'm giving the curtain call to the now going on NBA draft, but more importantly, the absolute media zoo that's about to happen, whether it's tonight or tomorrow, probably tomorrow, when the Lakers draft LeBron James Jr., a.k.a. Bronny James.
You think?
And we won't. I think it's happening. I don't think we won't hear the end of it when it happens. So,
Do you think that they are going to do that?
Yeah, I think they're going to do it. Not that they're going to do it tonight. I think they'll do it tomorrow.
Why wouldn't?
How ultimate would it be
Yep.
if somebody else drafts him, LeBron ends up going to that team after the Lakers hired J.J. Redick?
Yeah, what if
That'd be wild.
they just held him ransom?
That'd be wild.
Yeah, that's what Bill Simmons said for the Celtics to do, is just to draft him because they have so many picks. Like, just stockade him and see if you can get LeBron to come be a Celtic for 2 years.
Or maybe get some trade out of it, too.
I mean, somebody's definitely kicking the tires on that idea.
Somebody's thought about it. Yeah, 100%. Without a doubt.
I mean, curtain call to Kendrick Lamar concert.
What?
I know it was last week, but the one that happened on Amazon Prime, just a bop. Did you see? Speaking of LeBron, do you see his wife keep him out from going on the stands? He was trying to hop the fence to get on the everybody was out there at the end of it for the encore, right. And she was like, you staying right here with me. And he was like, he had one leg over the barricade.
Come back here.
Yeah, like, no, we ain't doing that today, Bron.
Come, Bron.
Damn. All my friends are up, but Russ is up there.
Roped his ass up, so you gotta come back over here, cuz.
We ain't doing this. You damn near 40.
My curtain call is to the LSU player that we were speaking of early on, who I think is going to make the All-Star team. He'll be a first-time All-Star. He'll be, I think, if you're not paying attention, haven't been really paying attention to Major League Baseball, an unexpected All-Star, somebody that you didn't anticipate before the season started to make the All-Star team. He got an opportunity to play every day in the big leagues. He got an opportunity to fail early in the big leagues and understand how it works. And then a player got hurt, and he got some run, started playing pretty well. Then another player got hurt. When that player came back, continued to get some run, took advantage of his opportunity, continued to hit, continued to play good baseball, and has put himself in this situation. We were speaking of LSU's own, Baton Rouge own, Josh Smith. He is currently first among all qualified third basemen in batting average at 303. I believe that's higher than Aaron Judge.
Hell.
He is first among all qualified third basemen in the American League and on-base percentage at 391. He is fourth among all qualified third basemen in the American League with slugging percentage at 478. And he is second among all qualifying third basemen in OPS at 869, right behind Ramirez. Jose Ramirez from the Indians, who has like 20-something homers. Those are all-star. That's an all-star resume. Who?
I said Jose's also like a couple of homers short of passing up Albert Bell and a good number short of passing up Jim Thome and Cleveland Indians Guardians now in Cleveland Guardians history of home runs. So that's a big name, and he's banging this year, like you said.
And Josh Smith, definitely all-star worthy season. It feels like he's gonna hopefully get in there, at least as maybe not as a starter, but at least as a participant in the All-Star game. Shout out to him, congratulations to him. Great to be able to have that opportunity and continue to take advantage of that opportunity. So shout out to Josh as my curtain call. We appreciate everybody tuning in. We promise, from me to Jared to Lloyd, we're going to be better on the show. We're going to continue to grow the show. We're going to continue to be fun on this show. Our studio is slowly coming together. Football season is right around the corner. We're excited. Jay Mitch is traveling. We try to give you the show all the time. Lloyd actually did some production today and really fired me up the way you took control of it today. You took control of the producer role today, and you really fired me up, and it got me locked back in, and I needed that, and I love that, and we're going to be good for you. So we appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe. Also, if you see us around town, continue to come up to us and tell us that you like the show, because we love to hear that. Heard it yesterday. Heard it today. I was actually walking into Whole Foods yesterday to get a sandwich for lunch. Some guy I didn't know. Hey, are you Mikey? Mic'd up, man. I love the show. Fist pound. Y'all do a great job.
Oh, no.
We love hearing that.
I guess that, look, that's the new career for you. This is your transition. It used to be Mikie Mahtook, 2009 national champion.
But that goes away.
Now,
this is great.
Mikie Mahtook mic'd up.
We enjoy people listening and paying attention to us. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you don't like watching us, but you do like listening to us, which also happens. We hear that all the time, too. Anywhere you get your podcast. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night. We will see you this weekend. Peace.